Hi there, this is Dr. Jessie Blackburn, and this is the podcast for our ePortfolio assignment sheet. So the Thursday of the last week of class at 5 p.m. you want to upload your ePortfolio, or by 5 p.m. you want to upload your ePortfolio to the assignment link in that final weekly module. Make sure you post that by 5 p.m. and you want to post it as one long Microsoft Word document, not as a PDF. Okay. So the ePortfolio learning objectives are that you include a wide variety of artifacts that clearly reflect the goals of the course, that your portfolio includes a clear summary of all artifacts and explains their importance in the final ePortfolio, that your portfolio organizes final ePortfolio or that your portfolio is organized in a clear and appropriate format so that contents are easy to find. It includes all final reflections and clearly articulates growth, development, and changes in the writing process throughout the course. It discusses and provides concrete examples of progress and change in learning process from beginning to end of course. It utilizes multimedia that enhances ideas, concepts, and supports the narrative logic inherent in the writing process. It provides proper citations in the final multimodal project as well as throughout the course and demonstrates a proficiency in APA and MLA style format. It organizes so that it is easy to read and navigate. It reflects a deeper understanding of interdisciplinary scholarship and multimodal critical analysis in different disciplines. And it demonstrates a substantial investment in the development of the writing process and the learning community within the course. So the goal of any writing and learning portfolio assigned in a processed and learner-centered course is to reveal something new to ourselves as learners. Portfolios are galleries that showcase processes and polished work and certainly serve as a valid purpose in all disciplines. This is an opportunity for you to stand back, look at the different kinds of writing and text you've created, how you've created it, and what has shifted in that text and in your abilities. This is also an opportunity to deepen your understanding of your own writing and learning process within a disciplinary context. So if you've engaged in work in this course that honors your individual learning needs, that challenges assumptions you have accepted about your own writing and reflects the ways in which you have explored the disciplinary intersections at the heart of your own interests and chosen field, your ePortfolio would give you something new to take from this course. In one document, formatted in Microsoft Word, no PDFs allowed please, combine the following and in the following order. So you need a cover page or a title page. You need a table of contents. This guide should present the titles and page ranges of your text as any categories you might wish to use to organize your portfolio. So, for example, you might organize your portfolio by in-class writings, process drafts, and final drafts. Or you might do it by assignment categories like literacy narrative, rhetorical analysis, writing in the disciplines, right? And you might include all the in-class writings, process drafts, and final drafts of those assignments in each category. It's really up to you. I've seen a variety of different organizational structures for portfolios. So if you want to do it by assignment, then just make sure you get all the in-class writing assignments, process drafts, and final drafts for that assignment organized with it. If you want to do it by in-class writings, process drafts, and final drafts, that's fine too. Just make sure that you still get everything inserted in the end that you need. You need the reflective portfolio cover letter, and I'm going to go over that here in just a minute with the cover letter guidelines below. But this letter should be 3 pages double-spaced and should reflect the guidelines posted below. And lastly, you need your drafts and process work. You need drafts 1 of the literacy narrative, writing in your discipline project, and rhetorical analysis. You need drafts 2, following revision guidelines below, of the literacy narrative, writing in the discipline project, and rhetorical analysis. So I want to make sure you see those revision guidelines below. You have on the initial drafts, you have guidelines for the assignment. I have included here on this assignment sheet revision guidelines so that as you move into your revised final copy of the literacy narrative, writing in the discipline project, and rhetorical analysis, you have an understanding of what kinds of revisions I'd like to see you make. So we'll go over those in just a second. You also need to include all peer responses you received on drafts and all peer responses that you posted for fellow learners and writers. And 1 discussion forum free write that you feel or felt strongly about. So the reflective portfolio cover letter is a 3-page reflective cover letter, and it's your chance to tell me anything and everything I need to know about your portfolio. You must connect your portfolio back to specific English 2001 course objectives listed on our syllabus. I want to restate that. You must use this letter to connect your portfolio and artifacts or pieces of your writing back to specific English 2001 course objectives. This piece of writing must also introduce the essays in your portfolio and reflect on each text's development and evolution throughout the research and writing processes. Reflection is a vital part of your portfolio and should be treated as such. So this piece of writing should fully embrace your unique voice and style, but it is meant to be a polished text by the time you submit your portfolio. I encourage you to seek feedback before its submission through an online writing center visit. You can make that appointment by calling 828-262-3144, or you can visit the Writing Center via appstate.edu's website. You should also consider addressing some of these following questions as needed in your introduction. So you don't need to answer all of these questions in the portfolio cover letter, but along with connecting your writing back to the course objectives, you might want to use these questions to help frame your letter. How have you evolved this semester as a researcher and writer? How has your writing process developed and/or changed? How did the multiple drafts of the papers affect your writing? Will you continue to embrace writing as a process? Why or why not? How has our work impacted your understanding and development of rhetorical awareness? What do you consider to be your strengths as a writer, your weaknesses? Which aspect of your portfolio is the strongest? Why? Of which piece of writing are you proudest? Why? Why did you choose to include the writing that you did? Is it simply the best writing? How is it reflective of your writing process? How have you come to understand your role as a researcher and writer at the college level? And make sure that your cover letter demonstrates a substantial investment in the development of the writing process and the learning community within this course. So, these are your revision guidelines, moving from draft 1 to draft 2. These are all the major assignments. So the literacy narrative, you've written the first draft, you gave peer feedback, you received peer feedback. But now you're going to revise and submit your final draft in the portfolio. So you want to make sure that this revised draft effectively utilizes responses from your peers and me to expand and improve the quality of draft 1. Be sure that you use feedback to further develop highlighted areas within the narrative and strengthen narrative structure of the previous draft. Also, as you revise draft 1, make sure to demonstrate a strong voice throughout the story and a clear sense of direction. Your revisions should effectively use correct and consistent spelling, grammar, and mechanics. The literacy narrative, draft 2, should use peer review response and instructor feedback to expand draft 1 to at least 1.5 to 2 additional pages. You want to make sure that you use above feedback to further develop highlighted sections of the narrative, that you've revisited and strengthened the narrative structure and direction, and that you demonstrate a strong voice throughout the story, using a correct use of spelling, grammar, and mechanics. The writing in the disciplines assignment, the second draft of that, should be a 5 to 6 page draft that effectively utilizes responses from peers and instructor to expand and improve the quality of draft 1. Be sure to use feedback to further develop highlighted areas within the draft and strengthen narrative structure of the previous draft. Make sure you demonstrate a strong voice throughout the essay and a clear sense of direction. Also make sure to effectively use correct and consistent spelling, grammar, and mechanics in APA citation conventions. So, as far as the grading criteria, I'll look to make sure that you've used peer review responses and instructor feedback to expand at least 1.5 to 2 pages, that you've used the above feedback to further develop highlighted sections, that you've revisited and strengthened the structure and direction, and that you've utilized APA and avoided first person and direct address, as well as using correct spelling, grammar, and mechanics. The rhetorical analysis, the second draft of that, should consider the peer and student responses to draft 1 and should include a substantial revisions that take into consideration the full concerns of rhetorical analysis. This composition should look at your chosen artifact of disciplinary research and analyze the speaker, occasion, and subject. What are the writer's credentials, the type of text, and the subject of the text? What the text does or attempts to do? The intended audience and how tone, diction, and style work toward reaching the audience. You should cite examples from the text and consistently use MLA or APA formatting throughout. These are the kinds of things you want to pay attention to. Rhetorical analysis of draft 2 will be graded with the following criteria: that you've used peer review to respond to instructor and you've responded to my feedback and expanded your draft by at least 1.5 to 2 pages. You've used the above guidelines to further develop the highlighted areas. You revisited and strengthened structure and direction, and you demonstrate a strong voice throughout the story and use a correct use of spelling, grammar, mechanics in APA or MLA format. And then finally, the ePortfolio grading criteria. I'll look at the entire portfolio to see that you've included a wide variety of artifacts that clearly reflect the goals of this course, that you include a summary of all artifacts and explain their importance in the final ePortfolio. That's your reflective cover letter, or part of it. That it organizes the final ePortfolio in a clear and appropriate format so the contents are easy to find. That includes all final reflections and clearly articulates growth, development, and changes in the writing process throughout the course. And then it discusses and provides concrete examples of progress and changes in the learning process from beginning to the end of course. You'll see where the writing the cover letter will help you get at most of that. And lastly, that you provide proper citation and demonstrated proficiency in APA and MLA style. You want to organize your ePortfolio so that it is easy to read and navigate, that it reflects a deeper understanding of scholarship and critical analysis in different disciplines, and it demonstrates a substantial investment in the development of your writing process and learning community within the course. So one thing I want to mention about the ePortfolio is the order in which it is compiled. So if you go back up here, you want to make sure you start with your cover page. Then you want to make sure you have your table of contents, and that should tell me, the reader, the order in which you organized things and the page, the general page ranges for those texts. The cover letter should go after that table of contents, and then all of your drafts and process work should follow. You should have the works cited or the reference page with the paper that it belongs to. So I'm not asking you to compile all your references and have them at the very end. You should have separate reference or works cited pages within the portfolio. So each of the papers that had a works cited page or a reference page, that paper, that final draft, should have the works cited or reference page with it, so that you will have multiple reference pages throughout, not one comprehensive reference page at the end. If you have other questions about the ePortfolio, please post them to our As You Learn forum so that we can all address them publicly.